All right, we're going. All right, it says we're live right now, and I know this has got like a 15-second delay or something before we actually go live. So guys, give me a 2 before in the chat if you can hear us, and as soon as you let us know you can hear us, we're going to jump into this. We've got Ground Fog made a comment this morning. He was early. He was almost at 6 o'clock this morning. Forrest Smith is here. Good morning, Forrest. Ian is here. Local Prepper Cal is here. Good morning, LP. All right, we're about 30 seconds in, so we should be good to go. So, guys, welcome to Clickbait and Coffee this morning. I've got one of my new friends on here, Jessica, the Combat Midwife. Jessica, I appreciate you being up. You were on the East Coast, and you're like, it's like 5 o'clock. I was like, I thought you were in Texas. And you're like, no, I'm over on the East Coast. I'm like, crap, I feel bad for making you get up this early.
The West Coast, yeah.
The West Coast. All right.
It's okay. The sun's not up yet, but I'm excited to come hang out with you. So I'm here.
Oh yeah. It's going to be a good morning. I'm excited to sit down and talk about it. We talked for a few minutes yesterday, and we might delve into that a little bit more. But Jessica, tell us your backstory. Tell us how you got from Jessica to the Combat Midwife. How did that happen?
Yeah, so I've always wanted to deliver babies. You can call my mom. Please don't. It's pretty early where she's at right now. I'm normally in Texas, but I travel full time for work. So don't call her right now, but you could later. And she'd be like, yeah. Jessica's always wanted to deliver babies. And then flash forward to my first midlife crisis as a firstborn, first daughter, first granddaughter type personality. And junior higher going, oh my gosh, I'm going to go to college and become a doctor to deliver babies. And I realized they don't even see patients or blood until like year 5 or 6 of medical school. So what if I dump all this money into this and then go, I don't really want to do this. So I have had uncles in the fire and EMS arena, and they said, if you become a firefighter and a medic, then you can do anything. So that's what I did in high school. So I had already created a career path for myself before I finished high school. So I finished both of those programs my senior year, and then I graduated, and I did that for several years. And then, we went to war. You're getting the very Cliff Notes condensed version of this scenario, this story. And I got a phone call from the Army, legitimately, and they said, hey, we'd like you to come interview for instructing the combat medics. And I didn't know what the heck that was, but I said yes, because I have a rule, and that is I never say no to an interview, because you just don't know where that relationship will take you. So I showed up, got hired on the spot because of my kind of cool background. And then I have spent most of my career in some sort of educational process, if you will, of medical education for the military. So that's for all branches of service. And I've taught the combat medics, the flight medics. I just crossed over into special warfare. So I've worked with the PJs and other questionable entities of gentlemen that jump into perfectly good, areas and do really cool things out of backpacks. So that's what I've really done. And through that whole process, I still worked on an ambulance as a medic. And then I still finished midwifery school, because I just found that birth is not a problem that needs to be solved by the medical model of care that we have in the United States. And I think that it needs to be more holistic for both mom and baby. And so I've been training the military on how to care for women and children in really austere grid down situations, because when we're in country, and we being the United States are in country, people will flock from all over. They'll walk for days to get to the medical units that are American, specifically because we have really good knowledge in trauma and some other, orthopedics, et cetera. But women will come to those locations to have them deliver their babies. So women's and children's medicine in general is very lacking, even in our modern United States world. And so I've kind of created the entire program for medical education for the military and kind of set that up for them. So that's, again, a really Cliff Notes version of my cover letter and CV. So there you go.
That that is interesting. What'd you think when the military called you and you're like, hey, we want to come talk to you? That would be like, uh-oh, or like, hey, this is going to be cool.
I thought it was, hey, this is going to be kind of cool. You know, we got to think about what was going on at that time when everybody was drinking the Kool-Aid of some guys with some box cutters jumped on some planes and bombed us. So, you know, I was really in the thick of the Kool-Aid cult at that time, thinking we got to get them back. Bull monkey. We don't have enough time this morning to kind of deconstruct what I went through watching the military and being a part of really intense decision-making processes of why that is an absolute farce. But anywho, yeah, so I was really in the thick of it and really wanted to do my bit, as the Brits would say, and it really be a part of some big, huge things going on, and really wanted to help out the United States. And so obviously I feel very differently about that today. I've grown up. But yeah, at the time it was a very scary time, and it was very nerve-wracking, and we didn't know what was going on in our world, let alone our own backyard. And there's a lot of fear that was going on. So when I got that phone call, I was like, yeah, put me in, coach.
Yeah.
Like let's do this. That sounds great. And I love it. And it's a huge part of who I am today. And I also carry a lot of reverence, sprinkled in with some guilt, because there's a lot of really great people that are no longer on this planet because of the situations the United States have found themselves in. And I know that because of that gave me a career path. So I understand what burdens I carry because of that. So.
Yeah, that's really cool to me, that it's like, hey, we want you to come train these guys to do this. So tell me, like, what when you first went in there on the first class, were you nervous? Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to train these big, mean, burly guys to deliver babies?
So I was teaching the entire program. While my specialty is women's and children's, I taught the entire program. A lot of times people think that that's all I do. And I'm like, well, you know, I'm a paramedic with years of experience on an ambulance. Like I teach all of it. So if you want to learn how to do chest tubes today, I mean, we can do that, I guess. So no, I wasn't nervous. Because they were all the same age as me.
Yeah.
You know, we were all essentially the same age. And so I was just looking at peers that I just happened to have a bit more experience with. So I wasn't nervous in that aspect. However, I was not naive to the gravity of what was going on. I knew exactly that they were coming to me. So sorry, I'm having a hard time. My eyes are foggy this morning. It's early where I'm at. I was very well aware of the fact that they were coming to me. I was signing paperwork that was clearing them after their education, and I knew exactly where they were going. Yeah. They were attaching to a unit, and they were getting deployed immediately. I knew that there was a significant number of them that were not going to be coming back. So that was an extremely hard burden to carry.
Yeah.
The education part, no, I had that down. I had been teaching for a little bit at that point. I felt very comfortable in my medical knowledge. I don't drink, and I would never show up to work tired, but I could do that job half drunk and half asleep and be fine. So yeah. it wasn't the education portion of it that I was nervous about or felt anxiety. It was the gravity of the seriousness of what these soldiers, what these young, I'm now able to look back and go, what these young kids, because we were all just kids, were going to be doing. And so that definitely weighed on me for sure.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. So what all did the Army want you to teach these guys? I know we've got Combat Midwife, so we're looking at that. We're looking at, as far as birthing, female stuff after the delivery of the baby and all that. Is that the main thing that you were teaching the guys?
No, so it's one, they're learning CPR and they're graduating from their combat medic program. So a combat medic is something like a mashup between a doc, a PA, and a paramedic. They're doing minor surgery in the field. They're doing sutures. They're doing everything that's going to need medical, that's going to need to be taken care of in that immediate 24 to 72 hours before they can get a 9-line in to definitive care to a cash unit to something. So, these guys are working out of essentially backpacks that we very fancily call aid bags. And, they're attached to an infantry unit, a gunner unit, a tank unit, something. So they're a one-man show, a one-lady show, and they're attached to some sort of unit that's ground pounding through the desert, and they have only the resources that they can physically carry on themselves. That's it.
Yeah.
So I'm teaching them ditch medicine while they're getting shot at, blown up, IEDs, RPG, whatever.
Yeah. All right. So we've done that. So let's fast forward to when you started your business.
So
as far as when you started Combat Midwife, as far as business and training.
Right. So a question I get asked a lot is Combat Midwife a career path? No, it is me. I am it. So it is not a career path. You cannot be that. That is who I am. I was given that name by my soldiers. All my soldiers started calling me that because I'm a paramedic who teaches combat medicine, and I happen to be a midwife, and they did a nice mashup and it stuck. So I even had coworkers calling me that. Brass was starting to refer to me as that, which was great. So it's, it's like Maverick has a call sign. It's the same thought process. And so, yeah, so I just kind of became who I am, and I decided to call my business that. So gosh, 10, 12 years ago or so, I kind of just said, this is a little bit silly. So the teens, 2010 through 2019 was a pretty odd time in the second half of the war. And, there's a lot of weird things going on, and contracts were being kind of funky at that time. Is way too much politics to go on into this morning. I'd need some more tea this morning to do that. But a lot of weird stuff, and I was just kind of sick and tired of the red tape and jumping through hoops and stuff. And I said, well, I'm just going to cut the middleman out, and I'll just do it myself. So I opened up my own business, and so it's primarily military work that I still do, but I've broken out into the civilian world because I started documenting everything I was doing on social media, because that's kind of when things started to take off, right? And I just really started documenting everything I am doing, and non-military people were going, I want to learn what you're teaching. Like, I see all the cool stuff that you're doing in the classroom, and I want to learn that stuff too. So I would get questions all the time, like, can I come and sit in the back of the classroom? No, Mark, you can't. I can't, one, bring you on base, and two, I absolutely cannot have you in a classroom like that. There's so many laws I would be breaking. So No, I can't do that. But what I can do is, since it is mine proprietary wise, I can bring my work and my education that I've created, right? My program of instruction to you. And so that's what I've done. And so I've created the Combat Midwife course, and it's Battle Buddy, the Combat Midwife OB kit. And those things go together as a way to help people. And this is phase one. Next year, we'll be bringing out some more education and more equipment, but this is just phase one right now. And that is, I teach an all-day course. It's 8 hours long, and it is exactly what the soldiers, the airmen, the Marines, the Navy all have learned in my classes and have implemented. I mean, I've gotten phone calls from guys overseas that have said, I just used exactly what I learned in your class. I just delivered my interpreter's baby, or, we had a town that got demolished and it sent a civilian into labor, and I was able to deliver the baby. And then I was able to do, point of care and then prolonged field care with them because we couldn't get out of there for a week. And I was able to do everything I needed to do to take care of mom and baby. Okay, cool. That's awesome, right? Like being able to use that firsthand. And so I've taken all that knowledge, and I've created this course that anybody, I don't care if you know how to do CPR or not. I don't care if you're a tactical paramedic and a flight paramedic that has 20 plus years of experience, you will glean awesome information from this course, because I'm not only taking the lessons learned from the military and all the years of training that I've been doing, but I'm also bringing to the table years of being a midwife, working in a variety of locations, either planned out of hospital births all the way to working in an Afghan refugee camp. And I'm able to take all of that, put it together, and help someone be prepared. Whether you're planning on having another child or not has nothing to do with whether or not you should take this class. No. Knowledge is a form of currency, and being able to take care of yourself, your family, or your neighbors in a time of crisis is a way to barter with people. Not to mention the fact that if you are anything like the community members, you have been prepping food, ammunition, water, sanitation, etc. for years. And what gets left out a lot is medical. And while I appreciate people focusing on things like trauma, the likelihood of you needing to use tourniquets and chest seals and occlusive dressings and packable items is pretty stinking rare. But being able to take care of a woman who has a raging UTI and the grid is down, there's civil unrest, etc., that's life changing, because a UTI will kill you in about 96 hours if you don't have the right care on board and your body has gone septic. You will die. Yeah. And that seems weird to say to us Americans, who has a Walgreens on nearly every corner and you can go get the resources you need. But when you don't have the availability to do that, do you know what you may or may not have in your kitchen to be able to take care of a problem like that? Well, I do, and I'm going to teach you how to do that. So most people don't know that they have a lot of items in their garage, their kitchen, their bathroom that can take care of these really large problems like a UTI, a yeast infection, postpartum hemorrhage, and a plethora of other problems that affect only women, because I have extra hormones than compared to men, and I have extra organs in comparison to men. And those problems are only going to affect you, us females. And so that's a big deficit in the prepper community, is thinking about how to care for women. In a grid down, you have no water, you have no resources, there's no 24-hour anything, and you can't get anywhere. So you've now hunkered down in whatever bunker you've created, and you now have a medical emergency. Do you know how to take care of that? And a lot of people just don't think about it. They think of beans and bullets, and while those are super duper important, the likelihood of a medical emergency arising is quite high when you don't have access to things. And so that's why I've created this course.
Oh yeah. And I mean, you're going to, a lot of these people have this fantasy of, oh, we're going to get in gunfights and everything else in a, shit hit the fan situation. It's like, that's the last thing that you want to happen. And essentially in a grid down situation, if you apply a tourniquet, that's going to keep you alive long enough to say bye to your family. Unless you got a surgeon on staff and a small surgical suite, you're pretty well toast. I mean, even a chest seal is going to keep you alive long enough to say bye to your wife and kids.
That's it.
So the long-term care, and that's some of the stuff we're looking at is the long-term. Yeah. Now we do need tourniquets and we need trauma kits because we have, we can elevate to higher level of care. But that is a lot of the stuff that people, it's like, well, I've got a tourniquet and I've got a chest seal. I'm going to ride through the apocalypse with this. And it's like, good luck, buddy. So. Yeah.
I mean, I've been a paramedic for a handful of years now. I'm not going to say the number out loud. And I'm from San Antonio. That's a humongous city. And I've definitely been in situations where I've taken care of shootings and stabbings, etc., on multiple occasions. But I probably can count on both hands and maybe a few toes the amount of times I've needed to use a tourniquet, because those wounds have to be very specific in order to use those, right? I mean, I'm not, if someone gets shot in the neck or the torso, I'm not putting a tourniquet on them.
Yeah.
Right. And so,
there's a few people that could use a tourniquet around their neck though.
You said that, not me. Please don't use that as medical advice. Thank you very much. I'm out.
Yeah, that's not medical advice.
No. That's dealing with a hostile environment advice.
that goes. Those are the people that need a wood chipper, though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And people know on here who needs a wood chipper. So
yeah.
But now tell us on the class that you're coming up and doing, what topics are we going to hit on?
We will start with, this is what a menstrual cycle is, and we will go all the way through women's health, both pregnant and non-pregnant. We'll go through labor and delivery, postpartum, and we will go through the first year of problems that could arise with a baby. So we will go from the very beginning of 7th grade science of this is a penis, this is a vagina, this is an egg, this is sperm, and we will go all the way through. This is how you take care of a 3-month-old that's dehydrated.
Okay. Awesome. Now, question, that's one of the things. If I was a guy and somebody's like, hey, you're going to have to deliver this baby, I would be teetotally scared to death. And I think every dad that has been there has probably thought, what if we can't get to the hospital and I'm going to have to deliver my own baby? They were probably thinking scared to death. In the grand scheme of things, delivering a baby, is it as scary as people make it out to be?
No, everybody's watched too many damn movies. And while I enjoy a really good movie and a really good storyline, remember 90% of that, even if it's a true story, is nobody's life is that interesting. Okay. We all live very boring lives. So the nitty-gritty shootout of whatever the heck movie we're watching, it really wasn't that intense, right? So yeah, we've watched too much TV, and things just kind of get out of hand. But you're dealing with, I mean, your community also has a lot of people that deal with animals, and you've watched cows be born, or, you know, lambs, chickens, for goodness sake. If you've had backyard chickens, you've probably raised chicks. Birth is a pretty normal part of life, and it's pretty uneventful. And the worst business plan is about to come out of my mouth, but I can teach a 5-year-old to deliver a baby. Okay. And I was just really sick and tired of the medical system gatekeeping a very sacred process of a woman's life, which is giving birth. Yeah. I'm not broken. There's nothing wrong with me. I don't need to be rescued by the medical industrial complex that wants to treat me like a number and a cash cow.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with me. Now, can certain problems, or what I love to call speed bumps, arise? Abso-freaking-lutely. And we're going to talk about those in the class. You know, we'll talk about a cord wrapped around the baby's neck, or a breech birth, or yes, those are variations in normal. But the medical industrial complex has spent 100 years deprogramming women and taking away our sacred power and right of being women, and has told us that we're broken, that we need to be rescued, and some man in a white coat needs to save us. And I say to that, that's rubbish, right? That's just absolute trash. And it's not true. So the Rockefellers spent a lot of money in the late 1800s and the early 1900s to create a smear campaign against midwives specifically, right? Because they wanted to sell their petrochemicals and turn those into things we now call pharmaceuticals. And they bought out the medical schools, they bought out the doctors, and they realized, holy heck, because of this whole Victorian thing and modesty, we're not seeing 50% of the population. So let's get rid of modesty. Let's bring in the roaring 20s, give empowerment of a bad kind to women, and tell them that they can just do whatever the heck they want, and then come to us for pain management. Okay, so we bought that hook, line, and sinker. You think we would have learned from the garden, but we didn't, apparently. And we bought that hook, line, and sinker. And yeah, so we've really only had 3 to 4 generations of women who have been programmed, and it only takes 3 generations to change the trajectory of a culture. And we're past that point of probably, you know, no return as a society, and that is telling women that they're just broken and they need to be rescued by hospitals. Wow. It's just not true. Birth is pretty uneventful most of the time.
Wow. You mean the Rockefellers actually did that? Oh my gosh. I'm being facetious on it. Yeah, I know they did. I mean, that was the thing. It was the whole pharmaceutical, and they did. I didn't know the smear on the midwife stuff, but I do know the smear, you know, any of the herbalists that were doing stuff, they're like, they got them defined as quackery, and it's quackery medicine is what it is. So what they defined it as.
Right. So you can just put midwife smear campaign 1900s and in a search engine of your choice, and you will find legitimate wanted posters for midwives. And the description on there will be dirty, diseased, illiterate, ignorant, immigrant, minor. It's just really gross. It's very gross wording. And, you know, midwives have been around since the beginning of time, whatever you believe that is. And, you know, we're found in the Bible. We're found on walls in Egyptian artifacts and other cultures all over the world. So midwives are pretty much the first type of career path, because babies were being born and women needed to take care of women. And midwife is just old English. We don't speak like that anymore, but the direct translation is a woman caring for another woman during childbirth and just their production of children, their time frame of that. So, you know, onset of menses till death is really the time we care for humans that are female.
And you still get, even today, with people waking up on a lot of the stuff and the pharmaceuticals and people going back to, I want to be more holistic and stuff. I want to do herbal routes. I want to start eating better and doing all this. And then when you say, you can take this person that's like, yes, I'm eating non-GMO, organic as I can get. I'm taking my herbal stuff. I'm not doing, I'm off my blood pressure medicine and my statins and all this stuff and everything. And then you say midwife and they look at you like you've got a third eyeball.
Yeah, I know.
And it's like, okay, we went this far down the trail, but then when I say midwife, you shut down. You're like, there's a quack. It's like, I don't get it.
Yeah. People will look at me and think I'm laughing because they'll go, because everybody goes, what do you do for a living? Well, I'm a midwife. I own a business, blah, blah, blah. And they'll go, ha, 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 that's funny. What do you really do? No, that's what I really do. Wait, that's a thing? I thought that was a made up word. Nope. It's been around since the beginning of time. I went to school for a really long time to learn how to do what I do. Wait, so you went to school? Yes. No, I printed off a piece of paper from Sears before they went bankrupt.
Yeah.
Yes, I went to school. So
I just hang out at the mall all the time waiting for somebody to give.
Well, and that's what people think I do too. Like people just call me when they're in labor. Like I'm some sort of weird concoction and offshoot of 911. And I'm like, no, I know them so well. I know the code to their house. I know all their kids. I've delivered every kid in the whole family. Like I'm a part of their healthcare system that family has put together. So I very rarely deliver babies anymore because I've primarily dedicated to, I just got back from delivering a baby. But I don't do them very often because I'm solely focused on helping people be independent and pull away from the medical system in whatever way that is a fit for them. Whether they're in the thick of having children right now and they're like, I'm not doing this. I don't want the vaccines. I don't want the eye goop. I don't want all this stuff. But I know if I go to the hospital, they're going to call CPS on me. So what are my other options? Great. Come to my class because I'm going to teach you how to take care of your family, your people, and exit the system. Maybe you're someone that wants to go do medical missions overseas and you're like, holy heck, I just talked to a bunch of friends and they said that they had to deliver a bunch of babies. Great. Come to my class. I'm going to teach you exactly what you need to put in your pack and exactly what you need to take on your medical mission. Maybe you're a bunch of guys and you're just prepping for the end of the world because you just see where things are going and that's your mentality. Cool. Then come to my class because guess what? People are going to know in the community that you're the one with power, that you still have food, that you're not losing weight. And a mother, if I was a woman who had small children and I couldn't feed them, I would die before they would. So I would leave my baby on someone's doorstep because I knew that they had provision. So do you know how to take care of that baby? It's no different than what we all watched when Afghanistan fell and mothers were throwing their babies over the wire. Those women knew they were dying that day. They knew that day they were going to meet their maker, but they were not going to let their baby die. So they knew that we were going to never let that baby hit the pavement, that we were going to catch that baby and that baby was going to thrive. I don't know what it would look like for them at that moment, but that mother knew that those soldiers were not going to let that baby perish. So any mama knows that if it comes down to me or my child, I will die before them. So I will go hungry. I will do without. So do you know what happens when the grid goes down and there's no options? I mean, we have to also look at things historically that have happened. In World War II, the amount of babies that were left on doorsteps because their house had been bombed, they don't have a job anymore, there's no money, there's no food, was astronomical. The health system over there had to create an entire branch of people to care for the children that were just left on doorsteps. Go do your homework. We can even flash forward and talk about North Carolina. The amount of babies that were born in someone's dilapidated, flooded out house was off the Richter scale. Yeah. You can think about Katrina. There was actually a midwife that was floating around on a pool boat something she would have had in the backyard for her kids, going from house to house in her neighborhood because she knew that she had neighbors that were pregnant, and she delivered babies during Hurricane Katrina. Yeah. So this isn't a far off out there. It happened on someone else's continent and in the history books. This is present day. We can also think about what happened in California when blue-haired people were really bent out of shape. They were rioting on the freeways. So what would you do if your plan A was to go to the hospital and you can't get there? What is your backup plan? Do you have one? And a lot of times people just do not have backup plans for medical. And that is what is going to completely tank you. While it would be wonderful to go out in a blast of glory with all the bullets and all the fun things, that's a great honorable way to go out. The likelihood is sepsis.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay? It's when you're down there messing with the animals and you get a little cut on your finger and it gets infected and you don't have anything to fix it. It's going to be like that cut on my finger for messing with the chickens is going to kill me. And it's like, yeah, there's no glory in it, but nobody thinks about that kind of stuff.
We all grew up playing Oregon Trail. Okay.
Yeah.
What killed everybody? Freaking dysentery.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
and
dysentery.
So, yeah, if you don't know how to fix those things and you don't understand what's the difference between a bacteria and a virus or a fungi, if you don't understand the basic concepts of that, you're going into your end of the world or loss of power, EMP, or whatever your vision is of why and your motivation, right, for prepping. If you're going into it with that lack of knowledge, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Oh yeah. And then here, Forrest Smith's one of my buddies. Forrest lives part-time in San Antonio, and Forrest is a paramedic. He went through the Texas A&M program, and then he did DOD stuff for 10 years.
Awesome.
Forrest is a good guy. And then
come on down to my class, Forrest, on the 13th in San Antonio.
And then this is Sharon Horn. She worked for the OB and she was doing surgical stuff for quite a while. I think she still does a little bit. She's down in Tennessee. So cool. She's talking about coming too, I think.
Awesome. So,
tell us, I want to hear some stories.
Oh God.
You got some fun, crazy stories?
I mean, nobody has stories when you just pose it. Like, you gotta ask me a question or something. I don't know. What story do you know about? You wanna...
What's the craziest birth that you've done?
Birth is not crazy. It's pretty uneventful.
Well, what is the most eventful birth then?
I mean, I've delivered babies in a refugee camp. Most birth is pretty uneventful. Mama goes into labor, she pushes a few times and a baby comes out. I mean, they're really, when you know how to take care of those things, they're usually not a big deal. I mean, I can count on maybe one hand the times I've ever had to transport anyone for an actual urgent situation. I wouldn't even call it an emergency. I would just be like, we probably need to get over there at some point today. It's pretty uneventful. I've had really good training, and I've had really good real world experience. And so they're just not eventful. I mean, I've had way more cooler things as a medic, or way more cooler things teaching the soldiers. Yeah, I don't have any crazy birth stories. I mean, I've delivered breech babies at home. Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, tell us, as far as, when you go into the hospital setting, everything is, quote, sterile environment and everything like this. And you're talking about delivering babies in a refugee camp. That's not a sterile environment by any means. How does that, I mean, and I know if you want to do this at home, you're not going to have a sterile environment. You're going to clean everything as good as you can. What about as far as an environment? Do the environmental factors play a big role? I mean, granted, you're going to try not to do it out in the dirt or anything like that.
I mean, I've delivered babies outside. It's not that big of a deal. So there's a very big misconception and an overusage of the word sterile. So there was nothing sterile about getting pregnant. There's nothing sterile about getting unpregnant. So, you know, I know it's a little early for my jokes this morning, but yeah, sterility is something I really want for things like doing sutures or surgical procedures. Cleanliness is appropriate for just about everything else. And when human beings are giving birth in their own environment, they're already exposed to those viruses and bacteria and fungi and protozoas and all the other, they've been living in that environment. We have so the United States should not be bragging about birth rates or and I'm talking about mortality for women or babies. So out of the top 10 industrialized nations, we rank last. Out of the entire world, we rank 56. So there's 55 other countries, most of those considered third world, that have better mother and baby outcomes than the United States does.
Really?
Yeah, not a joke.
I did not know that.
Right. So when people come to me and go, you know, but we're America, we have really, no, we don't. The only thing we should ever be sort of bragging about when it comes to medicine is maybe trauma and maybe orthopedics. The rest of it is shit.
Really?
It's absolute crap. So we don't have the grade of numbers as you would expect from something considered a Western first world country. If you want to go look these stats up regarding birth, it's on the World Health Organization. Don't shoot me. I'm just the messenger. I don't like them either. Okay. However, I'm using an asterisk right here. Go look at their site because they have decade upon decade upon decade of an interactive graph. You can just hover over it and you can see the United States is way at the bottom, decade after decade, regarding infant and mother mortality rates. So when you ask yourself the question, why? It's a very simple answer. Because doctors take care of moms and babies in the United States, and midwives take care of moms and babies in all the other countries. Midwives are educated and trained individuals on the normalcy of women and children's emergencies and birth. Yeah. That's the simplest way to put it. So you want somebody who knows how to recognize normal so they can avoid abnormal.
Yeah.
OBGYNs are surgeons. They know how to do surgery. They are not trained how to sit and labor sit someone for 10, 12, 14, 72 hours, a whole week of labor. That's not what they're trained to do. They're trained to get in, get them out, and sew them up. Now, I'm not chastising them. I'm just saying, if you want a burger, why are you going to a steak place?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. So if you want to have a normal, physiological, uneventful birth, go to someone who specializes in that. If you want a surgical eviction, then I guess go to that person. But that creates a whole host of problems. So we have a 35 to +% C-section rate, depending on what state you're in. But the lowest number in a state is 35%. So you're telling me that 35% plus of the population in the United States and the United States alone is broken? No, man. It costs $100,000 to have a C-section.
Yeah.
And what do you want to sell more of? You can do a C-section from open to close in 20 to 30 minutes. Or you can sit with somebody for hours or days to have a normal physiological birth. Well, if we're only talking about numbers and we're just simply talking about productivity and business models, it obviously makes sense to do more C-sections.
Yeah.
That's not what's best for the populace. So that's where we run into problems.
Gotcha. And that does. I mean, it's the medical system is a money manufacturing deal. So if you can do a C-section in 20 to 30 minutes and charge $100,000, it's a lot more economical viable for the medical facility to do that than to sit with somebody while they're in labor.
For sure. Yeah.
And that goes back to Rockefeller and all that. So it's, I can see the medical system is a broken system. I mean, there's some good parts about it. And
For sure. Absolutely.
I think part of it is your doctor that you got, your general practitioner that you see. I've got an awesome general practitioner. She's cool as all get out. And I can tell her crazy stuff and she just kind of laughs and smiles about it. And actually, she's told me more holistic stuff, how to get off this medicine. If you were on this medicine, we can do this. And she's like, it'll take several months for it to work, but we can get you off this medicine if you want to. And I know other people that go and they're like, yeah, she gives me the same advice. She's not just pushing drugs on you all the time, which is amazing.
Yeah. And those physicians are very few and far between. They're also aging out and we won't have them very long. And we're getting to a point in time where hospitals own everything, including the doctors. So you may even have a physician that graduates from school and goes, I don't want to practice like that at all. But they won't be able to do what they feel is best because insurance companies and hospitals own them. They are not independent practitioners anymore. It used to be a doctor with his or her little black bag taking care of their community. That doesn't exist anymore. And it's intentionally being weeded out, which is why I like to be a midwife because I have my own autonomy and I can take care of people the way I feel is fit for that individual person. And I treat my patients with individual care, not this blanket protocol, evidence-based medicine, which is just a pile of crap. All that means is a bunch of rats in a lab somewhere, all tested blank.
Yeah.
That evidence on what? I'm a person and I need to be treated with like one just like you do. And so being able to give people the tools to take care of themselves, their family, and their community is invaluable and it will save someone's life. And it has, and I'd love to give that gift to you.
Oh, yeah. And it's like my pediatrician when I was growing up that my parents would take me and my brother. There were two or three doctors that owned the building and they owned the whole business and they were partners in it. They had the nurses and stuff like that. And it was an independently owned doctor's office. Now, I mean, years ago, it got bought up and all the small independent doctor's offices are owned pretty much by the medical center here in Bowling Green. So there's really not any small independent deals anymore. It's all the big conglomerates.
Yep. And that's why they're doing that intentionally. Not only is it for financial gain, but it is also for control. And we all know why and how, because we all survived 5 years ago. So we get what the goal is and we understand. So now is the time to get the knowledge and now is the time to start setting up the safety net to exit the system because they are not there to help you.
Yeah. And I remember too, my mom had told me that insurance was so much cheaper and the doctor's visits were so much cheaper. And my parents both had good jobs, great insurance, but my mom would get all the paperwork and she would file and send it into the insurance company for the insurance company to do it. There weren't 30 people in the back doing all the insurance filing and everything. There was like one lady that took care. She was at the front desk. That's all she did. She would give my mom the papers and then mom would go back and file everything with the insurance. And I'm like, that's really got to cut down on how much, if you've got 30 people in the back room doing all the insurance crap, that's just going to keep adding money to the doctor's office. I mean, think if you could cut that many people out of your business that you're going to have to pay, it's like, holy cow, we can get this thing down cheaper.
Absolutely.
So let me see, Miss Sharon. They stopped allowing us to use the hospitals. That way we had no choice but to go with it. Yeah. So that's as far as like the doctors, they wouldn't give them privileges. So they pretty much had to join up and get bought out, I think is what she's saying.
Yeah. That's exactly it. Yeah.
And then Bill's talking about how his animal husbandry. He said, my wife and I joke that I'm the farm midwife.
Yeah.
And, hey, that is, I've delivered a lot of calves, and I've delivered no telling how many lambs. I mean, a lot of the times we've got it worked out now. Our ram with our sheep, I mean, he throws little bitty babies, and we have no problem whatsoever. I can go down there when it's lambing season. I'll check on them 2 or 3 times a day. I'll check on them at night before I go to bed, go down there, check it out. And a lot of times the next morning I come down, there's 2 little bitty lambs running around. And it's like, hey, we've got no problems with this.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, please just don't put chains on a baby and then hitch him up to the Ford.
No. Hey, I did. I had to pull, I pulled it was darn near a 15-pound lamb, and I thought the mom was going to die. The baby died because it was coming out. There was no way she was going to get it out. And I literally had to I had to sit down on my butt, put my feet against that ewe and grab the lamb and just pull. And I was like, that lamb's dead. And I was like, the mom's going to die too. But I got it out, and man, she jumped up and took off running. I was like, holy crap. So.
Yeah. Delivering babies is way less eventful than farm animals. Way less eventful.
I'm excited. Now you've got, I've looked at pictures of the class and everything. You've got like the whole, all the dummies, for lack of a better term, on how to deliver and everything like that, right?
Yeah, so I bring all my own mannequins, and so everybody gets to touchy-feely. So the first half of the class is we're going to sit and actually look at slides and go through some, slideshow. And then the second half of the class is all hands-on. So we're going to catch babies and talk about bleeding and hemorrhage and all sorts of fun things. So everybody gets to touch and feel the awesome mannequins that I bring, which are very, very interactive, and they're super duper fun. So everybody has a blast. There's tons of pictures of classes that I've taught previously on social media and my website. I think there's even some videos and fun things on the website. So if you go to combatmidwife.com, you can see all of that in real time, and then follow whatever social media is your fave. So if you're a Facebook person or Instagram or whatever, you can follow along there.
Yeah, and you can sign up. You can sign up for the class. You can go to our website, and at the top of the screen, there's a scroll across through there, and it'll come up to and shoot you over to Jessica's website, and you can sign up for that. The class, and also Miss Sharon put in here, use the code. Use the code KSL to get some discount on that.
Yep.
And then, so you can use that. But jump on over there. That is October 25th in Bowling Green, Kentucky. It's the same place that we do the festival. And it's going to be fun. I'm super excited about it. L2 Survive showed up. Hello, how are you? But I'm super excited about it. I want to learn this. And I was telling Shelly, I'm like, we need to get Jessica to come up here and do a class. And Shelly's like, sure. She was like, work it out. And I was like, okay. So we've got it. We're set. We're ready to go. I'm excited. And I think a lot of people are going to be excited about it too. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And just so everybody knows, I'm doing a big Labor Day sale this weekend, but your code will give you the biggest discount for the class. So I do sales every once in a while for holidays or whatever, but my codes will always be the lowest price for you guys, because you get first access and first dibs.
Well, so it's going to be a fun weekend, guys. Go to the website. Check it out. Get your spot. I don't know. There's a lot that I want to learn about this, and it's cool. It's just like we're not going to have any more kids in my family, but it's a skill that I want to learn because I'm always trying to learn stuff. I mean, heck, I'm leaving here in a few hours to go down to Camden, Tennessee, and to go to Tactical Response to take their immediate action medical. And so I'm excited about that. So always be learning. That's the big thing. Skills and knowledge. You keep them in your head. They don't they don't weigh you down. I mean, it's something that you can keep for the rest of your life. And it's not like, oh, I have to pack out my bug out bag. You know, your bug out bag is inside your head if you've got all these skills and stuff like that. So, Jessica, is there anything else you want to say before we scoot off for the day?
Get your tickets so you can come hang out with me, because we're going to have a ton of fun, and you don't want to be seeing the photos on social media afterwards going, I wish I did that. So come hang out with us.
All right. Well, that will work. Guys, I appreciate it. I'm headed down to Camden here in a little bit, and then I will be back Tuesday morning. Guys, I appreciate it, and we will see y'all soon. Bye.
Bye.